Hey, what's going on everyone? Flick here, back again with another career mode challenge, and for today's video we'll be taking our managerial talents to Spain for a challenge with Villarreal. While I was doing some research about this club, I was surprised to find out that Villarreal hadn't won a major trophy yet, so I figured that would be a great objective for this challenge. And realistically, I think this objective to win a major trophy will take at least 3 seasons. And to give you some additional background about Villarreal, they had a strong display of performances in the mid to late 2000s, going as far as the Champions League semi-final in the 05-06 season, ultimately losing to Arsenal in that leg 1-0 on aggregate. But unfortunately, they were relegated from La Liga in 2012. They have since recovered, and now they're ultimately becoming contenders for Europe each season. 3 notable players come to mind when I think of Villarreal: Juan Román Riquelme, Giuseppe Rossi, and Diego Forlán. We're going to attempt to find the regen of those players by sending our youth scouts to Argentina, Italy, and Uruguay for the first season of our career mode and picking the best talents that we do find. And finally, we're going to try to make this career mode a bit more realistic by only signing Spanish and La Liga players. Of course, our youth academy players that we find from Argentina, Italy, and Uruguay are excluded from that requirement. If you are looking to try out this career mode challenge yourself, here are some additional requirements that you need to follow for each season. We'll be discussing them in greater detail as we get into each season. And finally, some facts about the club to improve our connection to Villarreal. They go by the nickname of the Yellow Submarine, of course influenced by the popular Beatles song and their yellow kit. It's always nice when a club has a real stadium in FIFA, and the Estadio de la Cerámica is where Villarreal will play their football for this career mode. It was originally built in 1923 and renovated in 2005 to be approved for Champions League football. Villarreal are involved in the Derby de la Comunitat, or the Derby of the Community, between Valencia and Villarreal. In recent years, it's held more significance because both clubs have performed better in La Liga. That'll complete all the prerequisites that we need to know for the challenge, but if y'all go on to enjoy this video, do help me out by leaving a like below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here so you don't miss out on future career mode challenges. And also drop a comment on what teams you'd like to see next. You can also let me know over on my Instagram and Twitter. But without further ado, let's get into season 1 of this career mode challenge with Villarreal. Our objectives for season 1 are fairly straightforward. We'll be attempting to qualify for Europa League and also signing 3 preferably 5-star scouts so that we can find our Villarreal regens. Villarreal have an incredibly balanced team, if I'm being honest, but I think there are a couple of changes we can make to the formation and first team selection to make the squad even better. So as usual, I've made a second team sheet that I think suits the players that we have much better, as well as it allows us to develop some of the young talents that have a good amount of potential. So I've optioned for a 4-4-2 formation. Asenjo will be our starting goalkeeper, and I find that goalkeepers don't decline in their overall as quickly as outfield players do. So because he's a high rating, I think we can get 1, potentially 2 seasons out of him before we replace him for a younger goalkeeper option. Our defensive line consists of a couple of solid players. Moreno joining from Liverpool in this summer, and while he might not have the most potential, I think he could be a solid left back for us and help us qualify for Europe. Torres is an incredibly talented young center back. That of course is something that's crucial for these long-term career mode challenges, so we'll be putting him through quite a bit of player training. Albiol joining from, I believe it was Napoli in the summer, and while he's a bit older at 33, he does have a nice rating at 83, so he'll be a leader in the back for us. And also Peña, another solid defender who's not going to have the most potential but should help us qualify for Europa League. Moving into our midfield, we have a nice mixture of youth and experience, starting with Chukwueze, only 20 years old. Our right mid has loads of potential. We'll be putting him through some player training. And then our center midfield partnership consists of Trigueros and the legend that is Santi Cazorla. A lot of you that are Arsenal fans just absolutely love this guy, and honestly, he's an incredible player, has the 5-star weak foot, 4-star skill moves, and I respect him quite a bit in what he's been able to accomplish in his career. He just seems to perform no matter what club he plays for. Finally, we have Ontiveros at the left mid position, another youngster that we'll try to train up. Last but not least, we have our attackers who conveniently are both 82 rated. Moreno will play on the left because he's left-footed, and we have Paco Alcacer on the right. Of course, he had that great season with Dortmund either 1 or 2 seasons ago, and I'm hoping he can net us a lot of goals for Villarreal. One of my favorite things about this squad is the amount of squad depth we do have. if we look at the substitutes and reserves, a lot of high rated players in there. So inevitably, when some of our starting 11 players get injured, we can have one of our substitutes or reserves fill in, and we shouldn't drop too many points due to injuries. With that said, there are a few positions with aging players, so I think in this first transfer window, it's important that we bring in some youngsters into the team who we can start training. But first things first, I wanted to sign the 3 5-star scouts because it's crucial that we send these scouts out as long as possible and we have the widest array of players to choose from. I'll be switching up the type of player I look for as well in future months because I'm not sure which category is going to give us the best quality player, the one that kind of matches the regen that we're looking for the most. But I'm sure by the end of the season, we'll find at least one quality player from each country. A rough start to our season as we were knocked out in the group stage of the preseason tournament. Looking at the opponents we were playing, I would have expected us to at least finish second. We've completed our first transfer of the career mode. Jorge Mere has signed for 9 million, and I see him becoming one of our 2 starting center backs alongside Torres within a few seasons time. Obviously, he's only 74 rated right now, so he needs to go through player training in order to develop those defending stats. We're going to further bolster the future of our defense by signing Ayhan Munoz for 5 million from Real Sociedad. I think this is a great transfer considering the price because we know how effective player training is for defenders, and within a few seasons time he can become our starting left back. Aldo should complete our final transfer coming into the club during this summer transfer window as we bring him in for 9 million from Valladolid. I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter for us. He's going to be more of a rotational player and add some more squad depth at that left mid position, but you never know. If player training goes well and he puts in some good performances, dynamic potential can allow some unexpected players to make more of an impact on career modes. Speaking of player training, I have 2 slots that I'll be rotating through, really focusing on the players that I see developing into future first team players or just players that I think are going to be crucial to the squad. We're actually going to double up on the training for Torres and Mere because defending training is just so effective, so we may as well. Also, I think they have some of the highest potential in the squad, so I really want to double down on those players. Some good business from us during this initial transfer window, roughly 23 million in player arrivals and 7 million in player departures. We'll take a look at some of the top deals globally, and then I'll cover the players that we did decide to part ways with in the club. Jimenez went to Manchester City for 66.2 million. Umtiti went to Spurs for 51.6 million. And Lacazette went to Dortmund for 50.2 million. That's a bit of a scripted transfer because it happened in my Hertha Berlin career mode challenge as well. Let's go to our club and of course sort by date so we can see the most recent deals that went on. So Quintilla went to Galatasaray for 5.8 million. I feel like because we signed another left back, we didn't really need him quite as often, even though he has a decent amount of potential. Rachu went to Botosani for 370,000, and then Guerra went to Argentinos Juniors for 700,000. The halfway point of season 1, we're just about where we want to be, sitting 6th place with 29 points. It is going to be a tough fight to see who qualifies for Europe next season. You can see if we scroll down, really 6th, 7th, and 8th right next to each other, and even the likes of Ibar in the mix. Let's see what the relegated sides are looking like. To be fair, La Liga has been performing pretty well. There's a pretty significant drop-off between non-relegated sides and the relegation zone. Just the one deal during this January transfer window, Mario Gaspar will be joining Manchester United for 10.4 million. And I don't think I'll be signing any players because I'd rather save those funds for next seasons because hopefully we'll be in Europe and that should attract some more players to Villarreal. We're just about at season's end, but I just received this message that Schalke have agreed to pay the 33.7 million pound release clause for Asenjo, and he has been kind of complaining all season. Apparently he's not getting enough starts to his liking, even though he is definitely our #1 goalkeeper. But let me show you guys something here in the squad hub. How much he's actually worth compared to what his release clause is just ludicrous. If we go to the financial tab, you can see he's worth 15.5 million. So I'm not even going to do anything about this deal. I could negotiate a new contract with them, but that much for a 30-year-old goalkeeper, I'm going to take it. I haven't really paid much attention to it, but we've reached the final of the Copa de España. If we can manage to win this over Barcelona, that would be a huge accomplishment for us, and I would consider that to be our first major trophy, which is an objective in this career mode challenge. Let me walk you through some of the teams that we have beaten. I would say we've been a bit lucky with our draw, getting Real Oviedo in the semi-final, the quarterfinal. We beat Celta Vigo, who we've been destroying in the league all season. Let's see, the round of 16, we had Deportivo Alaves, the round of 32. It was Cadiz, and I think that is all the matches we played. Yeah, so we've been very favorable in the draw, but of course we have a very difficult opponent here in the final against Barcelona. But I figured let's go ahead and simulate this one live. We're fielding a very strong team, and you never know what might happen. You can see they've actually dipped in their form. They've lost to Juventus. I'm guessing that's in the Champions League. Let's see how we do here, and we lose 2-0. Sort of expected, but hey, reaching the final of the Copa de España in the first season, that's a huge accomplishment. Here is confirmation that the deal for Asenjo to go to Schalke has gone through, and as a result, we've had 28.5 million granted to our transfer budget. Now we need to start thinking about who I want to sign as the first team goalkeeper. As expected, we've put in a strong performance in La Liga, finishing 5th with 74 points and qualifying for Europa League next season. As for the league winners, it was Barcelona, who won 34, drew 2, and lost 2. As for the relegated sides, we're going to go ahead and see Mallorca, Espanyol, and Osasuna will be sent down to the second division. Paco Alcacer will show up in the top 15 goal scorers in La Liga, finishing with 15 goals from 38 matches. For assists, we have Santi Cazorla. You love to see it. 12 assists for him out of 33 matches. And then moving on to clean sheets, we'll see if we do show up here. Yep, it's going to be Asenjo with 7 clean sheets from 29 matches. I had to go back and check the top goal scorers for La Liga because I thought I missed Gerardo Moreno, but it turns out he just put in a great display in the Copa de España, netting 5 goals from 6 matches, and ultimately was the top goal scorer for us this season with 19 goals. But honestly, we had a very even distribution of goals across players. Alcacer and Moreno, pretty even on the goal scoring, and then even some of our midfielders getting involved with Ontiveros and Cazorla. For assists, we know Santi is going to be the top assists, but it was Chukwueze who had the second most with 6. I do quickly want to update you on the Youth Academy players that we signed for this first season. So after scouting out Argentina, Italy, and Uruguay for 9 months, we sent a scout to Spain to look for a goalkeeper. Luckily, we were able to find Ayala, who has potential to be special. We'll put him through some player training, and he should be our long-term backup goalkeeper. Now, moving on to the regens, we'll begin with Riquelme's regen. And I've done something fun here in that I've updated their primary and secondary position, as well as their weak foot skill move set, their work rates, their height and weight, all of that sort of stuff to match that of the regenerated players. So just to add a little bit more fun to this career mode. And we are looking for regens after all. So anyways, Raul Campos, a center attacking mid, has an exciting prospect status. And if we look at the attributes, he does have the 5-star skill move and 4-star weak foot set. I see him being our future starting center attacking mid. He's already at a pretty high overall at 68. A little bit more player training and natural development should put him there in no time. Next up is Rossi's regen, who can play a variety of positions. That's one of the best things about Giuseppe Rossi. He can play center forward, striker, center attacking mid, or left wing, basically anywhere in the attack. And he does have potential to be special. Has a 4-star skill move, 3-star weak foot set, 5'8", which is really effective as a height in FIFA 20. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Finally, we have Forlan's regen, who I have to say is my favorite player of the bunch. He had such an incredible 2010 World Cup, and I just remember watching that on TV, just admiring the goals that he was scoring. Hopefully, Lucas Carvajal can score some similar goals for us because he has potential to be special. As for the attributes, he has 3-star skill moves and that crucial 5-star weak foot, which is so effective in FIFA 20 gameplay. High medium work rates. Can't wait to see what this striker can do. We've absolutely crushed the objectives for season 1 of qualifying for Europa League and finding some youth academy players to develop, and I can't wait to get into season 2, make some more signings, because we should have an even bigger transfer budget. Our objectives are going to be more difficult in season 2, having to finish top 4 in the Liga to qualify for Champions League, and also making a strong push in the Europa League so that we can lift that first trophy for Villarreal. This is our starting squad in season 2, and I've got to say the team is looking in good shape. Our number one priority for this summer transfer window will be to find a new number one goalkeeper. Aseno will be departing for Schalke within the coming days because they matched his release clause. I've got a few goalkeepers in mind, and I think I'm going to be looking at La Liga for a new goalkeeper. Surprisingly, there's not too many young Spanish goalkeepers that have high amount of potential outside of your big names like Kepa and De Gea. But anyways, moving into the right back position, I'd also like to improve upon Pena. He's 28 years old. He's not going to get much better than that 79 overall. So I want to take a similar strategy to what we did with Munoz last season. Sign someone young, develop them up, and by the end of the season, they should be right around the same rating. If we still have funds left over after signing a new goalkeeper and right back, we could improve upon our center midfield. Both Trigueros and Cazorla have met the peak of their career, or they're going to start declining in overall ratings. So if we can sign a new center midfielder that's younger than Trigueros and has about the same overall rating or higher, I'd be happy with that. Another notable thing about this Season 2 squad is the number of players that have returned from loan. 9 players in total, some of which I actually have plans for in the future of our squad, starting with Casseras, a 23-year-old center defensive mid who we should be able to put through some player training, and hopefully he can be either a first team or squad rotational center midfielder for us. Same thing with Pedraza, 24 years old, can basically play anywhere on the left-hand side and will be good for squad depth. Toku Akambi will be our new backup striker. 80 overall, 27 years old, can also play left mid, which will be nice. And then finally, we have a player who was amazing in previous FIFAs in terms of his potential. He's still pretty good at 79 overall, only 23 years old, so still plenty of time in his career to develop and become a high-rated player. Unfortunately, he's injured right now, but once Enes Unaf has recovered from his injury, we'll start player training immediately. The board is not messing around when it comes to transfer funds. They've granted us an additional 56 or so million, bringing us to a total of about 90 million. They want Champions League football next season. We'll try to make that happen. Andre Lunium is set to become our new number one. We signed him from Real Madrid for 15 million. And I wanted to make this transfer because he has first team experience playing for the likes of Real Oviedo. I think he's ready to be a squad's number one goalkeeper option for the long term. Whereas for Real Madrid, Courtois is going to be their number one man for the coming years. I think Lunion is ready for a move. This isn't the sort of news I wanted to see at the start of the season. Unfortunately, Mere has suffered an ACL injury. He'll be out for 4 months. We still have plenty of squad depth at the center back position, so I'm not concerned about that, but I am concerned that we won't be able to develop him as quickly as I'd like, and that may impact his future in the first team. Once again, we turn to Real Madrid and sign one of their talented youngsters, and Alvaro Odriozola. I see this transfer happening because he was sent out on loan to Bayern last season, and in real life, he didn't really feature in many matches. So I think he would want some first team football, and why not move to a side that is quickly rising through the ranks of Spanish football? We still have so many funds left over in our transfer budget, so I figured why not splash the cash and improve our midfield for an end game center midfielder or center attacking midfielder and sign Dani Olmo, 83 rated in this career mode. He had a release clause of 38.9 million, which is not much more than his market value. So I figured, why not pick him up? He's instantly going to improve our squad so we can really push on for Champions League football next season. And it appears that the signings we've made in the summer have made a difference. If you can remember back to season 1, we got knocked out in the group stage of the preseason tournament. Now we've won the whole thing, beating Leicester City in the final 2-1. There's a good chance we were one of the big spenders in La Liga during this transfer window. 74 million spent and only 10 million in player departures. Let's take a look at some of the top deals and see where players have transferred to. Looks like Conte is going to Bayern for 85 million. Ziyech to RB Leipzig for 58.4 million. That's likely a replacement for Dani Olmo. And then Ndidi is going to Juventus for 52.6 million. The one departure during this transfer window was Pena to Chelsea for 10.2 million. I figured now that we brought in Odriozola and then we had a right back return to us on loan, we don't necessarily need him in the team. Even though he is a good quality player that has a high rating, he just won't feature in enough matches to be happy. Just to give you an idea of how many funds we have 62 million in the transfer budget, and that's after we've allocated 10% toward wages. If our position in the league is not in good shape by the January transfer window, then I'll continue to sign players, but I'm happy with the quality of the squad we have right now, and we can continue to save those funds for season 3. It's unfortunate to see, but Toku Akambi has not been happy with his playtime and he's requested a transfer. Benfica have come in and submitted a bid of 21 million, which is above his market value, so I'm going to accept this deal. Hopefully the contract negotiations go through, and I think we'll look to sign another striker during the January transfer window. Here's confirmation that Toku Ekambi will be joining Benfica once the transfer window opens, and that means we've had 17.5 million added to our transfer budget in addition to the plethora of funds we had available. So I think we'll be breaking our transfer record in January. We've coasted through the group stage of the Europa League, finishing top of our group, just drawing the one match against Galatasaray, and I'm feeling very optimistic about the knockout stages. I actually need for us to display a strong performance in the Europa League because our league performance hasn't been as good. I forgot to show the league table at the start of January like I usually do, but this is the current state of it at the end of January. It hasn't been the best performance by us in the league during the first half of the season, only 35 points from 21 matches, but Champions League is still within reach. Valencia only sit 9 points ahead of us with 44 points. So if we can have a better second half of the season than we had in the first half, all hope is not lost. And we're also still in the Europa League. We're actually about to get into the knockout stage of that. So there's a couple of different ways that we can qualify for Champions League next year. Once again, we've broken our transfer record by activating a player's release clause, and we have signed Maximiliano Gomez from Valencia for 50.6 million. The Uruguayan is 85 rated, and surely he should be able to help us improve our club performances. I'm not sure if he's unhappy with our management or if he was unhappy with Valencia's management, but regardless, we need for him to step up in the league and potentially more importantly, the Europa League, so we can win that competition. We've managed to reach the final of another domestic competition, the Supercopa, and again, we've matched up against Barcelona in the final. To get here, we beat Real Madrid 5-4 on penalties, and I'm hoping that'll be the shift that we've been looking for in our form. Anyways, let's get into the finals, simulate this, and see if we can beat a strong Barcelona side. We've made that improvement at the striker position. Gomez will be starting this match. Let's see how we do. The match will end with another defeat, 4-1, and that's kind of brought our ego back down. More bad news for Jorge Mere. He suffered another injury, and he'll be out for 2 months, and I feel for the guy because I swear he wasn't injured at all during the first season, and now he's missed the majority of season 2, and I think that has ruined any plans I had of him being one of our starting center back players. So we need to look for a replacement option in season 3. Of course, we had the record transfer deal of bringing in Maximiliano Gomez during this January transfer window, but we had 2 player departures, Toku Ekambi, which was a pre-contract deal, accepted a couple of months ago, and then 1 loan deal. Nino is off to Deportivo. We've matched up against Nice in the round of 32 of the Europa League, winning the away leg 2-0, and now we're playing at home. Surely we'll be able to advance to the round of 16, fielding a strong team, and we win this one 3-2. So fair play to Nice. They put up a fight, but we were still victorious in this one, and obviously we'll be advancing on aggregate. Atalanta are our opponents for the round of 16 fixture. Once again, we won the away leg 2-0. Let's get into the simulation. No changes to our starting 11. Luckily, the second half of the season hasn't had as many injuries, and we win the home leg as well, 2-0, so we advance 4-0 on aggregate. I'd argue that we're a bit unlucky to match up against Chelsea in our Europa League quarterfinal draw, but we did draw the home leg 1-1. Let's see how we do in the second leg and whether we can advance to the semis. And we lose 5-4 on penalties. Well, that is going to bring an end to our Champions League plans from the Europa League. Unless we see a drastic turn of events in La Liga, I don't think we'll be going to Champions League next year. Unfortunately, with the signing of Maximiliano Gomez, Gerard Moreno has become a substitute player, and he's not happy with his play time. So he's requested a transfer. It seems to be a recurring trend in this career mode save. But Sevilla have submitted an offer of 31 million. I didn't necessarily want to sell him to a La Liga side, but I don't see Sevilla as a real threat, and 31 million is the highest bid that I've received. So I'll be accepting this, and I think this will go through. Here is the official confirmation. Moreno has been sold to Sevilla, and now we've received 26.5 in our transfer budget. We'll be using that to improve the squad because our performance this season has not been up to scratch. It's been a long La Liga season, and it's finally come to an end. We've managed a 5th place finish, but the gap between us and Champions League football is just too large, 12 points. We're going to need to make some serious improvements if we want a different result next year. It was Barcelona again who repeated as La Liga winners. And for the relegated sides, it was Almeria, Deportivo, and Sporting that will be going down. To recap some of the domestic competitions, we reached the final of the Supercopa, ultimately losing to Barcelona 4-1. It was a tougher draw for us this year in the Copa de España. We drew against Real Madrid in the quarterfinal. They defeated us 1-0. Barcelona did beat them on penalties in the final. And the team that knocked us out in the quarterfinal of the Europa League, Chelsea, went all the way to the final. They lost to Borussia Dortmund 2-0. It was an impressive season from Gomez, netting 19 goals from 37 matches. I'm not sure how many of those goals were for us, though. We'll see that later on, hopefully in the squad hub. Alcacer also popping up in the top 15 at 12th with 14 goals. Dani Olmo had a great debut season in La Liga, netting 9 assists from 33 matches. And Ontiveros barely making the top 15, but he made it with 7 assists from 36 matches. Lunin was in the top 5 for clean sheets, 11 clean sheets from 36 matches. I'm honestly a bit baffled why we were so far off from Champions League this year. If you look at these statistics, I would say they were improvement from season 1, but in terms of our points and where we finished in the league, we did not make any progress from season 1. Anyways, let's take a look at some of these top goal scorers. Alcacer had 20 goals. 14 of which was in La Liga. Gomez scored 19 La Liga goals, so some great production from him in the domestic performances. And then Ontiveros putting in 20 goals from the left midfield spot. Only 11 of those were in La Liga, but still great production from him. As for assists, it was Ontiveros who had the most assists for us, 15. So considering he's a left midfielder, I would say he was our MVP this season. He might not be the highest rated, but he just finds a way to contribute goals to the team, and that's what I'm looking for in players. Same thing with Dani Olmo. Kind of had a slow start to the season, but he picked up and ended up having the second most assists for us. We'll see how some of our regen players are doing. I actually didn't do any player training for them this year. I just let them grow naturally. Hopefully that'll allow their physical attributes to grow. For Riquelme's regen, he went up +4. Not very happy with his morale, so hopefully we can fit him into some more matches next season and that morale will go up, or maybe we'll send him out on loan. For Forlan's regen, he went up by +4 as well to 65. And then for Rossi's regen, another +4. So +4s all around. Hopefully these guys will continue to develop and they'll make their way to the substitutes next year. Clearly, season 2 did not go as planned. A 5th place finish means that we did not qualify for Champions League, and we were not able to win the Europa League this year. We'll still push on for season 3. The squad is in great shape, and we're going to make a few more improvements. Our objective for season 3 onward is to become the top club in Europe by winning La Liga and Champions League. We won't be able to win Champions League this season. However, I want to improve upon our performance in La Liga, push for a top 3 finish. I'll be honest, this career mode challenge has presented some unexpected twists and turns, whether it be clubs matching players' release clauses or players handing in transfer requests. Some of the plans I had for this career mode haven't exactly panned out, but hey, that's life and we need to adjust if we want to finish top 4 in La Liga this season. And I think there are 2 key positions that we need to improve if we want to make that happen. The first being our aging center midfield. Of course, we love Santi Cazorla on this team. We'll keep him here as long as he wants to stay, but he won't be a first team player for us next season. At 80 rated, he's only going to keep declining in his overall, so I'd like to sign a world-class center mid. In addition to that, I would like to bring in a world-class center back because the injuries that Mary had in season 2 have set him back too much for him to reach the potential that I expected when I originally signed him. And given the fact that we have about £100 million to work with, I don't think we'll have any problem signing 2 world-class players. That's not even counting any transfers that we make out of the club. We're going to make a statement to the rest of La Liga and sign a player from a top 3 club. We've paid Mario Hermoso's release clause of 45 million, and we've signed the center back from Atletico Madrid. At 84 rated, he's going to be a big improvement to our defense. Another big transfer coming through as we've completed the signing of Giovanni Lo Celso from Real Betis. It was a 62 million transfer deal. I'm not sure if that breaks our transfer record, but he's definitely the highest rated player that we've signed so far, 87 rated, and I was surprised he didn't cost us more. I'm feeling positive about this transfer window, and actually we have more players going out of the club than coming in, but of course, more money spent than money received, which is just fine because we had too much money at the start of this 3rd season. Let's take a look at some of the top deals, see if we make the top 3 in. Unfortunately, we don't. But Harry Kane is off to Bayern for 108 million. Hernandez joining Manchester United for 75 or so million. And Real Betis selling 2 of their key players. Of course, we had Lo Celso join us, and Fekir will be joining Piemonte Calcio for 66 million. I don't think our player departures will make much of an impact on our performance. They were pretty much players that wouldn't have gotten appearances anyway. Going through those players though, Leal will be leaving for roughly 800,000. Fernandez was a good backup goalkeeper for us, but now our youth academy goalkeeper is a high enough rating that I feel comfortable with him being our backup. He left for approximately 3 million. Lozano left for 1.5 million. And finally, Chakla left for 600,000. We've coasted through the Europa League group stage, winning every single match. RB Salzburg will be joining us in the knockout rounds. Halfway through season 3, and I'm much more happy with where we are in the league this season. Currently sitting in 4th, just 1 point ahead of Valencia, so we don't exactly have a lot of breathing room, but as things stand, we currently qualify for Champions League, and we're not that far off from the likes of Real Madrid and Atletico. Barcelona is sort of running away with it. Our first knockout stage match of the Europa League is against Sporting. We won the first leg 4-0, and now we have the home leg. Not too concerned about this one, although we are missing a player or two. We win this one by even more, 5-0. Easily advancing to the next round. If we want to advance to the quarterfinal of the Europa League, we need to get through Chelsea. They knocked us out last year, but we won the home leg of this tie 3-2. So we need to put in a good result at Stamford Bridge. And if we do, we'll be advancing to the quarterfinal. Let's get into it and see how we fare. It's a 2-1 win. Good work, and it was a late goal as well that sealed it for us. It was fate for us to get matched up against Arsenal in the quarterfinal. There's so much history between these two clubs, and I've even stuck Santi Cazorla on the bench for this one. Because he is retiring at the end of the season, I think it's only right to give him the opportunity to potentially feature against his old team. Let's get into the simulation. We won the first leg 2-0. This is a home fixture. We should be able to win it, and we win it 2-1. We've reached the final of the Copa de España once again. Another opportunity for us to win a trophy for Villarreal, and we've had a tough road to get here. Beating Barcelona in the semi-final, I'm very grateful for that opportunity because it shows we can beat them next year and challenge for the league title. In the quarters, we beat Valencia 3-2, the round of 16. We had an all right opponent in Mallorca, and then finally in the round of 32, we beat CD Lugo. But anyways, let's get into the simulation. Our squad is slowly starting to catch up with the higher overall ratings of the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona. Most of our players are in the upper 80s. Let's get into this and see if we can win our first trophy for the club. It ends 0-0, but Real Madrid win it on penalties. That is so disappointing. Semifinals of the Europa League, and we have Schalke to play. We won the first leg comfortably at home 4-1, and we shouldn't have any problem taking out this side. It's kind of a mixed bag with Schalke. I'm surprised to see them in the final, unless they've made some huge transfers in this career mode, but let's get into it. I'm very sure that we'll be able to reach the final. We win this one 1-0. Let's see who our opponent is going to be. The final of the Europa League and our final match of the season will be played against Dortmund. I know this is going to be a difficult fixture because I'm pretty sure they won the Europa League last year, and we're also missing our best player in Maximiliano Gomez. I have put Cazorla on the bench though. This will be his last match for Villarreal. He's retiring at the end of the season, so I'm hoping the game will bring him on at some point in this fixture. Anyways, we've been so unlucky in cup finals. I'm hoping our luck will change. Let's get into it and see if we can finally lift the trophy from Villarreal. We win it 2-1. Oh, I'm so excited about that. It was really a lackluster second season, and we've made up for it by winning the Europa League this year. So one season late on completing that objective, but we've done it. It's been an improvement for us this season in terms of league performance, but we're still well off of the likes of Barcelona, who I think three-peated as La Liga champions with 108 points, going undefeated, only 3 draws. So I'm thinking we either need to significantly improve the quality of our side, or Barcelona needs to lose some players, maybe a combination of the two. But as usual, let's quickly check to see what squads were relegated. Espanyol, Leganés, and Malaga are being sent down. We're getting to the dangerous stage of career mode where players like João Felix and Rodrigo are nearing the peak of their potential. Felix was the top goal scorer in La Liga this year with 27 goals, but we had a number of players appearing in the top 15, 4 in total. Gomez with 20, Ontiveros with 19, Olmo with 15, and Alcacer with 14. I realize that Lo Celso is familiar with La Liga opponents, but you still need to applaud his efforts to finish top 6 in assists with 10 assists over the course of the season. Ontiveros had 9, and Dani Olmo netted 9 assists. Looking through these statistics, I'm actually surprised Barcelona won the league because Oblak had by far the most clean sheets. I would have expected Atletico to win the league, but regardless, Lunim finished in third with 19 clean sheets. As per usual, we had a fairly even spread of who contributed goals for this team. 39 goals, 37, 23, and 20 for our top goal scorers. And you have to recognize the efforts of Maximiliano Gomez. Only appeared in 55 matches, but still scored 39 goals. Let's take a look at the assist category. And yeah, pretty much the same story. 4 players got most of the assists for us. Dani Olmo, Ontiveros, Lo Celso, and Chukwueze. Most of our youth academy players are still a bit off from being substitutes, with the exception of Ayala, who went up +6 this season to an 80 overall. Looking at Rossi's regen, he went up +3 this year. Mind you, I haven't done any player training on these guys yet. I think I will for the next season because the career mode challenge might end next season. I see it going 5 years, but we'll see what happens. He's up to a 70. For Diego Forlan's regen, he went up +3 to a 68. And finally, Riquelme's regen slowed down on growth, only going up +2 to a 74. We knew going into the season that we wouldn't be able to complete our objective of becoming the top team in Europe, winning La Liga and the Champions League. However, I do feel like we have a chance of doing so next season if we make some improvements to our squad. There are 2 positions in particular that I would like to add more squad depth. First being our left midfield. Ontiveros is coming off of another exceptional season, but in terms of ratings, he is not quite where I want him to be. Of course, we can put him through another season of player training, so I'm expecting him to be 86 or higher by the end of the season. But mostly, I would like to add another world-class outside mid just for squad depth in case someone gets injured. Ontiveros can play both on the left and the right. Chukwueze is a bit limited at right midfield, so if we sign another outside midfielder, we'll be set for the rest of the season if a player gets injured. I'd also like for us to make an improvement at the striker position. Paco Alcacer has done an amazing job for us over the course of 4 seasons, but I think he has peaked in terms of his overall rating. And Enes Unaf, I'm not sure how much more he's going to develop as a 25-year-old. I could see him hitting 85 or 86, but I'd like to sign a striker that could hit 87 or higher by the end of the season. And this is the sort of funds that we're working with now that we're in Champions League. 130 million pounds in our total transfer budget for us to make signings. Mikel Oyarzabal will be our first signing of season 4 to complete this Yellow Submarine dream of winning Champions League. We paid his release clause of 73.6 million. Honestly, not bad at all considering he's an 88 rated player. That's a +4 overall rating improvement over what we currently have at left mid. I made a massive decision here and decided to transfer list Paco Alcacer. He'll be heading back to Dortmund for 51.4 million, and I wish him all the best because we wouldn't be where we are right now playing for Champions League had it not been for this man. The reason that I've decided to part ways with Paco Alcacer is Atletico Madrid have messed up and Joao Felix is available for a release clause of 66.9 million. His value is roughly 80 million. If we can sign an 89 rated striker and bring him into the team, I like our chances. If for whatever reason the Felix deal falls through, we can always fall back on my original transfer target, who I planned on signing in this 4th season. Alexander Isak looks like an amazing player to use in game. 4-star skill moves, 5-star weak foot. And he's more of a target man striker, so I like a lot of his attributes. We continue to break transfer records in this career mode challenge strictly from a financial basis. Joao Felix is an incredible bargain, but I'm more concerned about that 89 overall rating and what he can contribute to the simulations. Mind you, we're still doing player training to the players that are under 25 years old. This is our first slot, but the second slot is where things get real exciting. I see Felix hitting a 91 plus rating by the end of the season, and we've also started to train our regen players. We'll see what rating they end up as. Despite making some huge signings in the summer, we did lose in the semi-final of the preseason tournament to Napoli. I'm actually going to check who's taking penalties for us because it seems like we lose every single penalty kick shootout. Right now, Joao Felix is on penalty kicks. I'm actually going to switch it to Oyarzabal because he has higher stats for that category. But if we scroll through the rest of the team, you can see why we struggle with penalty kicks. Not a lot of players are even above 70 overall for penalties. So we're going to try to avoid that at all costs. Just try to win matches in regulation so we don't have to deal with penalty kick shootouts. Our first chance for a trophy in season 4 will be against Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup. Apparently when they won the Champions League last year, and we've taken away one of their star players in Joao Felix. Let's get into the simulation. See if we can start the season on a positive note. We lose 3-1 And of course, the game that I put Oyarzabal on penalties, he misses one. But we move on. That trophy wasn't super important to me. We've reached transfer deadline day, and rather than covering the transfers right away, actually I'm going to try to make one more deal. We still have 43 million left in our transfer budget, and I'd like to sign one more center back to the team so that we can have some additional squad depth, because injuries happen over the course of the season. And the center back that I've decided on is Diego Carlos. I sent out my scout in the global transfer network to find a world-class scout in Spain. You can see a lot of players have actually left La Liga since I originally sent that scout out, but we still have Diego Carlos playing for Sevilla. We might as well sign him. Negotiations with Diego Carlos were a breeze. Ultimately, Sevilla accepted a 28.2 million bid for him, and Carlos was actually fine with a rotational role in the squad, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully his morale isn't negatively impacted by a lack of playtime, because that's his role. He's there for insurance just in case someone gets injured. We finally broken into the top 3 for top transfers across all clubs. However, I am concerned about the De Bruyne move to Real Madrid. They're trying to be contenders for La Liga, so are we. We'll see which team comes out on top. We'll also take a look at our club transfers. Of course, we had the Oyarzabal and Joao Felix move, along with the Diego Carlos move. The one departure was Paco Alcacer to Dortmund. Yet again, we have tough competition in La Liga. However, we are within grasp of being top of the league, only 4 points behind Barcelona. If we were to win that fixture against them and don't drop any points in this second half of the season, then I could see us being league winners. A solid start for us in the Europa League. 5 wins and 1 draw put us top of the group with 16 points. Another trophy opportunity as we match up against Real Madrid in the final of the Supercopa. We are missing one starting 11 player. Munoz is out for 2 months due to an injury, and we brought in Pedraza, who can play left back for us. Anyways, let's get into the simulation and see how we do. We beat Barcelona to get to the final, and maybe this is the shift in mentality, the shift in form that we've been looking for. A 3-0 win against Real Madrid gives me a lot of confidence. We've made a duo of deals during this winter transfer window. Moreno and Trigueros will both be joining Athletic Club Bilbao. The storyline that we've been developing with Dortmund in this career mode challenge has been intense. Whether it be matching up against them in the final of the Europa League last year, or us selling Paco Alcacer, or the fact that Paco Alcacer joined us originally from Dortmund at the start of this career mode. Anyways, we matched up against them in the round of 16. And I believe the first leg ended at a 1-1 draw. Yes, it did. So let's get into the simulation. We are missing Gomez due to another 2-month injury, but Unal has been actually scoring quite a few goals. So I'm thinking he can net us another one here as we get into the home leg, and we win it 2-0. Quarterfinal time of the Champions League, we won the home leg 2-0 against Inter. Let's get into the away leg, see if we can get into the semis. And luckily, our squad has recovered fully. We're able to field a strong team, and we win this one 3-0. We have a very difficult opponent in the semifinal of the Champions League, PSG. However, we won the away leg 2-1. I think we can win the home leg despite missing a few players due to some annoying training injuries that are only going to have them out for a week, but they won't be available for this match. Regardless, let's get into it and see if we can reach the final of the Champions League. After reaching the final of the Europa League last season, we do, and we're into the final. Our opponents in the final of the Champions League will be Manchester City, and this is actually going to be the final season that I'll be playing on camera, because if we go to La Liga Santander, unfortunately, we were not able to finish top of the league. If we scroll up, it was Barcelona again, who put in an incredible season. I don't think they lost or drew a match in the second half of the season, if I'm not mistaken. We were 13 points off of them. We were within reach for a while, but then we started drawing matches, and I think morale just slipped. But if you do want to see us eventually win La Liga, I'm going to continue this career mode save, or this career mode challenge, off camera, and at the end of the video I'll be posting a screenshot or something along the sorts of the team and the transfers I made, along with us winning La Liga. I've also made the decision to adjust sliders for legendary difficulty. I just had too easy of a time on legendary with the default settings. So anyways, here they are if you want to copy them. I found them online, and this is actually gonna be the first time I am using them, which may not be a great idea, but it should be entertaining for you all. Anyways, let's get into this final of the Champions League against Manchester City, and hopefully our luck for these career mode challenges do continue. We can lift another trophy for Villarreal. Some interesting moves here for Manchester City. They have quite a few of their original players still in the squad. Ederson, Stones, Cancelo, Rodri, Foden, Silva, Jesus, and Sterling. Their entire front three is original players. You know they're going to be good, but hopefully we can be better. What I am most interested about is how these sliders work for us. I don't mind losing games because what we had earlier was just too easy. But as I say that, we're already through on goal. Can we sweat this one across? Oh my goodness, that was an RBA. Maybe that's some of the shot or pass error coming into play because that pass was nowhere near the target. Gonna try to squeeze that pass in, and we have a through ball here to João Felix. He has the 5-star skill moves. Can the defender bite? The drag back nearly gets taken out. The shot. Oh my goodness, it was on Chukwueze's left foot. A great opportunity for us to go up 1-0 just 10 minutes in. We do win a corner kick off of it. We'll see if I can just send this one in and one of our defenders can get ahead on it. That's a good corner. It is cleared away. Chukwueze on the edge. Keeps hold of possession. Playing out wide to our new signing, Oyarzabal. The drag back. I can tell you that's one thing. They do not bite on the drag back as often as they do on just normal career mode or ultimate team. Some good passing play by Manchester City. And the cross sent in will win that. And we should have some space here if we can find the runners. Playing this one out wide. Oh, actually, we're going to play that forward to Felix. Really no one back for Manchester City. A good skill move, but it is taken away by John Stones. Good defending by the Manchester City defense. This is some good play. And the hold up. The through ball. Oyarzabal has one defender left to beat, cutting inside. Can he do it on his own? We'll go with the finesse shot. Taken away at the last second. The shot will go in. That's Lo Celso on his left foot. You know it's going to be deadly. And we go up against Manchester City 1-0 early on. That's how we want to start it. And we'll see how Man City respond. It's a good pass. And another one to find Bernardo Silva on the right wing. Back in the middle. Some good passing play by Manchester City. They deserve to create something, but our defenders are just so good at both finding the outlet and defending, as we might have a chance here with João Felix through on goal. Can we get a goal before the halftime break on the near post? It's a save by Ederson. Maybe I should have played that one across, but I felt like with Felix's high rating, he should have put that one away. He had a good amount of power on it. An equal save to it by Ederson. Just 2 minutes of added extra time. Manchester City are looking to get one more attack in before the halftime break. Some good play by them as they play it through. We should be able to get this one cleared though. And I'm just going to hit this one out of play as we go into the halftime break up 1-0. A good first half performance by us. We had a few opportunities to go up 2-0, but I'll take a lead against Manchester City anytime. Looking at the statistics, 6 shots, 5 on target for us, 49% of possession. I think if anything, Manchester City seem to move the ball forward more. In previous career mode challenges, they just hang on to a lot of possession, don't really create chances. At least they look threatening in this one. It is worth mentioning that we have a few subs available, including all 3 of our regen players. If we get up by 2 or 3 goals, I'll probably substitute the 3 regens on just for laughs. What a ball. And this should be Dani Olmo. This time I'm going to play it across. I don't even care. That should be an easy finish, and it's João Felix to score a goal. He decided not to play it across in the first half, but in the second half he's been played across too, and now we have a 2-0 lead over Manchester City. I think we can sit back a bit and see this one out. Maybe it's too early on in the match, but I want to bring on our regens to test them out. I think it would be the perfect send-off for this career mode. So we'll be bringing Riquelme's regen on at right center mid for Dani Olmo. Rossi will slot in at the left wing position. And then finally, we'll be bringing on Diego Forlan's regen at left striker. Man, Manchester City are pushing so far up. We need to find a way to play the ball out wide and create an outlet. Right now, they're just passing between 2 players. As we put in another tackle through Munoz. We're going to try to switch a play. That was dangerous, but it seemed to work out for us. As it's Rossi on the left wing. He's going to take a few touches, look for options in the middle. Our strikers need to show for him. Instead, he tried the cut back. And that's where the low overall rating comes into play. We're into the dying minutes of the match. We just need to continue defending well. Manchester City haven't really managed to break us down, but I'd like to get one of our regens on the score sheet. Here's Chukwueze. Should be able to play this pass in, and it's an opportunity. That was either João Felix or Carvajal. I'm not sure who it was. I think that might be Felix, considering the good finishing on the near post. Anyways, we make it 3-0. That's definitely going to seal the match. That's a good way to end it. That's going to do it, y'all. A 3-0 win over Manchester City in the final of the Champions League. João Felix putting in an incredible performance, netting a brace. But again, if you want to see the trophy celebration or us winning La Liga, make sure you stick around to the end. But that's going to be it for me. This has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.